my name is Alicia Shapiro with AiNews.com, and welcome to another episode of Driving Tomorrow Conversation with Industry Leaders, where we explore the latest development and newest innovations in the world of artificial intelligence. Today, we welcome Ståle de Lange Kofoed, the Associate Director at the Norwegian Institute of Journalism, whose area of expertise is in online information retrieval, deep web mining, and lecturing on the use of AI and technology in journalism. Currently, he is working on a training program to foster innovation in Norwegian media companies and newsrooms. He has previously worked as an editor and reporter for several major national media companies in Norway, and he is the author of two books, one about efficient methods for web searching and the other about visual storytelling. Ståle has completed a year-long master program in innovation by the Norwegian Business School. He is regularly leading groups of media executives and journalists on study tours to Silicon Valley, New York, and London to meet with industry leaders using cutting-edge technology to advance journalism. Thank you for joining us today, Ståle.
Thank you for having me, Alicia. It's nice to be here.
Oh, good. With your extensive experience in online information retrieval and deep web mining, what untapped opportunities do you see for journalism? And how can advanced technological tools be more effectively used by journalists to discover and report on stories that are not readily available through traditional web searches?
Yeah. Well, I think that first of all, I think that journalists and journalism outlets they have become much better lately over the last few years to use technology in their
Mhm.
reporting. But right now with AI and the tools that are emerging within AI, I think the possibility of analyzing big data is the really the big thing. So
Mm-hmm.
being able to see connections in data sets or even in texts by analyzing large sets of text, I think that's going to be the kind of a main driver going forward for journalists because now with AI you can do comparisons and also find patterns that was almost not humanly possible before. So I think that's going to be one big thing going forward for journalism, at least.
Yeah, that's great. And drawing from the information on your books that you did, what advice would you give to journalists looking to enhance their storytelling techniques using AI and technology? And are there specific tools or methods that you'd recommend for creating more compelling and informative narratives?
Well, there's one thing you really need, and that is a good story. You
Mm,
need a good story to do good storytelling.
right.
There's so many people complaining, so, oh, I can't really tell this story, visually good or anything. Well, you know why? Because the
Hmm.
story is not good enough. So that's kind of the
Oh,
first thing.
hmm.
Technology
Good
can,
point.
just do so much for you.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, it's really about curiosity.
Mm,
We're in an age now where we need to be curious and try out new tools.
hmm.
You have the possibility to do analysis and visualizations directly in chatbots, like ChatGPT.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, and it's really easy. Anybody can do it. And there's also, a lot of other tools for storytelling. You have a tool that's been around for years, a German tool called
Hmm.
datarapper.de. You have Flourish, which also happens to be a free tool. So I mean, there's a lot of good tools available, and also a lot of timeline tools. There's the Medill at Northwestern has a lot of good tools.
Okay.
So but that's what I experience in my training, because I do a lot of training of journalists,
Mm,
is that there's kind of they don't dare to try to use new technology because people think it's so hard to do it. And
oh, that's interesting.
mostly it is really. And most of the time it's just about trying the
Right.
tool, and then tell me, this wasn't that dangerous. It was actually easy.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, have a good story and then just be curious and try different tools. There's a lot of free tools out there, and also some tools that will give you some credits for free to just to try it out.
Yeah. That's a great advice. Be curious. I think more people need to be curious about all kinds of things.
I know you do,
Uh,
absolutely. But I mean, if you're not curious right now with the AI revolution, you are going to lag behind. So,
right.
yeah,
Just
it's
try it. Yep.
absolutely.
And with your deep understanding of AI's application in journalism, what do you view as the most promising opportunities for AI to revolutionize news gathering and reporting? And conversely, what pitfalls should journalists and media companies be wary of when integrating AI into their workflows?
Yeah. Well, this is it's really good that you also asked me about the pitfalls
Okay.
because yeah, it's I as I mentioned, I train a lot of journalists, and but I don't want to be a kind of an AI evangelist, because
Mm,
there's pros and there's cons to using this technology for journalism. And
right.
for me right now, I think the big opportunities really lie in the daily workflow, within automation of boring and time consuming
Uh,
tasks.
mm-hmm.
You know, make a summary of texts, make a summary of PDF formatted reports, have an AI assistant that helps you out with ideas, and
Mm,
also generating titles. It's probably aware of the blinking cursor syndrome.
mm,
When you are going to write something and you just can't get started and you just look at the blinking cursor on your
yeah.
screen. I think that's kind of what I like to use chatbots for now,
Mm-hmm.
because if I start interacting with ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, it suddenly, just my mind just loosens up a little bit. So I think
That's true.
it's a great way to interact with the chatbot, and probably you're gonna get some ideas.
And I know in America here, there a lot of journalists have gotten in trouble with using AI because they've either tried to pass it off as their own writing or something goes wrong and people now are like, well, I don't know if I trust AI in journalism and things like that. Do you find that in Norway as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Okay.
it's I think what is really important, and what is actually coming into place in many media companies in Norway now, are editorial guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want journalists not knowing where the line should be drawn. So
Okay.
I think with editorial guidelines for AI, you will know if it's okay to make an image with a chatbot, or if it's not okay,
Mm-hmm.
if you can use
Mm-hmm.
it for an illustration but not to make an image. I mean, and also,
Okay.
how much text is it okay to generate instead of writing it yourself? So
Yeah.
I think with guidelines like that, it's easier for
Yeah.
every journalist to know where the line is drawn.
That's a good advice. Yeah. Make sure you have the
Yeah,
guidelines in place. And given
absolutely.
Yeah, and given the emergence of AI technologies such as the voice-based search and Google's generative search experience, how do you see those innovations impacting media company strategies to engage the audience directly by, bypassing the traditional reliance on Google traffic or social media channels?
We are in a really interesting time for media companies. And I
Yeah.
choose to say interesting because I want to keep it positive. Uh,
Yeah.
but I mean, media companies have been through a whirlwind of the last 20 years.
Mhm.
from, kind of being the sole providers of information and always, kind of guarding the truth. As
Right.
that, yeah, that is not the case anymore. And we have been led along, going into partnerships with big tech companies like, Google, Facebook, and, hoping that we could surf on their tech to get our journalism, enough eyeballs, really.
Right.
And then, yeah, and then of course, they have changed their plans, they have changed their algorithms, and just a couple of years ago, like 3 or 4 years ago, suddenly, a lot of media companies started um, going off some of the social media networks
Mm.
because there were a time where we wanted to put all our stories out on social media, like Facebook,
Right.
and to get more readers. But then it has shifted, because we have seen that you cannot get loyal audiences really on Facebook. So it's
Yeah.
just kind of giving your it's kind of just giving your content away to the social media tech companies,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So that was kind of the first thing that happened. And
Okay.
now what's happening is also really interesting because, Google is experimenting with their generative AI experience, the
Mhm.
search generative AI.
Mhm.
And that actually aims to cut down on the links that Google provides.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so the search that media companies have been getting from like Google search or other search engines, it might be harder to get, to have the organic reach through search engines now, because Google is pressured. They're pressured by competition like Perplexity,
Mhm.
U.com, and ChatGPT, of course. So, they might actually end up uh, cutting down on the links and presenting more of the content that they're presenting as Google content.
Wow.
And yeah, so that's actually also, so I think, it some people can say it's a bad thing for media companies. It's going to
Mhm.
be hard to get the eyeballs from social media. It's going to hard to get eyeballs from Google search. But I also think it's an opportunity because we can actually now stand on our own 2 feet again and say, listen, we are this media company. We have really good reporters. We put out really good stories. You need to come and visit us if you want to
Oh.
read our content. So, hopefully that's what's gonna happen. That the brands are gonna get stronger again. I hope.
Oh, that's a good perspective. I like that. Yeah, because it did seem like it was doom and gloom for a while, but that's a great perspective. I like that.
Well, talk to me again in 3 years and we'll see.
That's true. Yeah, they're always changing. So just when we figure it out, it's going to be changing again.
Yeah.
Um, Uh, and innovation in media companies and newsrooms is crucial for adapting to the rapidly changing landscape of journalism. So, can you share some insights or success stories from the training program you're working on that has fostered innovation in the Norwegian media companies? And how do you see this influencing the future of journalism in Norway?
Yeah. Well, it's we just started at the Norwegian Institute of Journalism. We are owned by the press organizations in Norway. So we're a
Okay.
non-profit. So we do mid-career training of professional journalists.
Hmm.
So we started with AI training, because we thought uh, Norwegian journalists and media companies need to know what AI is all about and how they can use it, right?
Mhm.
So the first big contract that we landed was to provide the AI training for all journalists in the Norwegian largest media company, Schibsted.
Wow.
So we have now gone through actually all the journalists in Schibsted, or, they own a lot of newspapers in
Okay.
Norway and also Sweden and other places. So they are now getting up, up to a certain level that everybody really knows what AI is now.
Hmm.
And we are now also, landing contracts with all the other companies in Norway. So that alone, will give them really, a good edge to work from. And but saying that, I think it's also important to kind of raise a little bit of a red flag too, because
Mm.
there's some people say that what about the local news? What about
Mm.
small newsrooms? They probably can't afford, to do training, or they can't afford buying software and stuff that needs, to be in place for their
Mm.
to have the knowledge about AI. So I think it's also really important that AI reaches local newsrooms too, and not just the
Yes.
big ones, because then the knowledge gap is going to increase, right?
Right.
But I know that Associated Press in the US, they have a really good program to promote AI for local newsrooms.
Oh,
So
that's
that's
cool.
a
I didn't realize that.
yeah, that's a really good thing they're doing.
Mhm. That's all you do is you take study tours to tech hubs like Silicon Valley in New York and London, but it offers a unique vantage point on the intersection of journalism and cutting edge technology. And so I was wondering if you could discuss a few insights or trends that you've observed during these tours that you believe will significantly impact the future of journalism.
Yeah, I bring groups of Norwegian editors and journalists on study tours, uh, you know, quite frequently. And the first thing that I think is important is to not only meet with other media companies,
Oh, yeah.
but so bringing people to AI companies that they have nothing to do with journalism,
Hmm.
but learning from companies outside of the media business, how they're working, uh, I think that's really interesting to
Yeah.
figure out, to kind of see the value of what is being created outside of journalism, and bring that mindset into journalism. That
Yeah.
is, yeah. And then, of course, one thing that I was particularly, occupied with the last time I went to Silicon Valley earlier this year,
Hmm.
was, what is actually going to happen to the workforce,
Right.
when AI, kind of does its thing over the next years. There's so many people worrying about their jobs, of course, is
Hmm.
AI going to take my job? And, I think my first answer to that is hopefully not.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, that's kind of one thing that's going to impact all industries, right? Not only the
Mhm.
media business. So I think, meeting people that are really trying to figure out how is the workforce going to change, how is leadership going to change going forward. That's also really interesting. I mean, is
Mhm.
a leader in 2020 the same kind of leader as a leader in 2030?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Mhm.
So there's a few things we try to get ahead, try to to move a little bit ahead of the now situation, usually
Yeah.
when we but it's so I always love visiting startup companies.
Mhm.
When you come to startup company, when you have a bunch of journalists with you,
Mhm.
that's been working in journalism all their life. And then, you ask the startup company, I mean, what's your main goal? And they
Mhm.
just look at you and they say, our main goal is to drive you out of business.
Oh,
I
no.
just love that. I mean, of course, that's great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I bet it's valuable insights on both ends, both for the
Yeah.
journalists, but the tech people too, to see how the
Yeah.
two worlds intertwine. That's really fascinating.
That I think that's maybe why some of them actually wants to meet us, because
Mhm.
they're busy, they're really busy. So
Right.
taking like an hour out of their day to meet with us, I think, because they know that they'll get something from us, too, and maybe some input that is valuable. So I think that's interesting, and that, does the hopefully the visit worthwhile for them too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
And before we wrap it up, I'd like to ask a couple of personal questions to get to know you better. So,
Hey.
when you're not busy working at the Norwegian Institute of Journalism, what activities or hobbies are you passionate about in your free time?
Thank you for that question. I have one big hobby that I'm
Mhm.
passionate about, and that is disc golf.
Oh, fun. Yeah.
I
That's
love playing disc golf. Disc golf has really, well, I mean, I guess that most people know what disc golf is, but it's
mhm.
it's kind of like golf, but instead of using a golf ball and a club, you use a frisbee, right? And you
Yeah.
you throw the frisbee into baskets with chains,
hmm
and it's like an 18 hole course, and
Wow.
yeah, it actually has a pro tour too.
Really?
So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's really just a great way to get out into the nature, walk,
Yeah.
get rid of stress. And
hmm
yeah, so whenever I travel, I always bring some frisbees in my suitcase.
Oh, that's
So
fun.
yeah, last time I was in the US, I was in San Francisco, and I got to play 2 rounds on the iconic Golden Gate Park in
Oh, wow.
yeah. So
I
yeah,
bet
so
that was
thank you for
awesome.
asking me that. I talk about
Yeah.
disc golf to anybody who wants to listen.
That's awesome. Mm. And based on your experience, wisdom would you share for up and coming journalists who are maybe interested in AI and want to make a significant impact?
Well, it's really the same thing that I've been telling, because I
hmm
also have taught quite a few students of journalism,
Okay.
and what I've told them over the last few years is try to master at least one thing really well.
Mm-hmm.
If that is, doing FOIA requests, or if your
hmm
thing is to be really good at the digital storytelling, or if you're a really good interviewer or whatever. I mean, if you can do one thing that really separates you from most other journalists, I think you have a bigger chance of being successful. And now, of course, with AI, I'm not sure if everyone has to learn to code, because there
Right.
was a time when we said that, oh, if you want to be a good journalist, you need to know how to code.
Wow.
Now
Yeah.
chat gpt can do that basically pretty well.
hmm
But I think it's important that you need to expand your knowledge about that technology and just try out everything, because this technology is still young. We're
Right.
just baby steps so far. So if you get into it now and you kind of try to expand your horizon, I think that's one way to be successful as a journalist.
That's great advice. Thank you, Stole, for sharing your advice and insights with us today. Your contributions and leadership not only light the path forward in journalism and AI, but also inspire the next generation of journalists to innovate and excel. Mhm.
Thank you so much for your kind words and for having me, and good luck.
Oh, thank you. And to our audience, if you're interested in exploring real life best practices in journalism, especially concerning the responsible use of AI globally, Stole recommends checking out the work of Professor Charlie Beckett and his team at Journalism AI. It's journalismai.info at LSE in London. Their efforts to compile the best practice examples and are invaluable resources for anyone looking to deepen their understanding in this crucial area. So thank you again for joining us, Stole, and we look forward to bringing you more conversations of AI's impact in our world. Keeping you connected to tomorrow. Today, this is Alicia with AI News.